little bit slower with joining, but not just to wait a time because we are going to record this as well. Let's start now. So welcome everyone. Today's session is a very exciting one. It will demonstrate a practical approach to AI adoption. And so the topic is play, explore, build practical AI literacy for research management. And our two wonderful presenters today are Jonas and Damaya, and they are going to introduce themselves as well. Just very quickly, quick note for everyone joining us for very first time. This event is organized by AIRON. You see it possibly here in my background. I'll have to go a little bit to the side. And it stays for AI in Research Operation Network. And we are basically grassroots movement from a lot of professionals from higher education institutions who are interested in AI adoption in higher education institutions. We want to share what worked, what didn't work, so we don't have to repeat the mistakes and can easily facilitate the community learning and kind of promote the responsible use of AI. As I said it before, the microphones and the cameras are on. You will be asked a couple of questions as well, so please make sure if you want to talk, just to unmute yourself and show yourself on camera. That would be greatly appreciated. And then if we have also the Q&A section, which is the second button behind the chat in the upper ribbon. So if you have any questions, so we can find them and fish out very easily, please put them there in the Q&A section. And don't worry if we cannot answer the question today. I will ask Jonas and Damaya to answer the question later on. Yeah, on other information, if you scroll up in a chat, there is a message from me in terms of recording, how to sign up the newsletter, because via newsletter you will receive the longer summary of the event and as well the Q&A. Okay, so that's it from me. I'm very excited for today's session, and I'm handing over to Jonas. Maybe very quickly you can introduce yourself as well before we start with Damaya.
Yes, of course. So thank you so much, Anna, for the kind introduction, and very nice to meet you to all. Thanks for joining the session here today. It's really great to show a bit what we do at CRG in the topic of AI and research management and share our experiences and knowledge with the community. So my name is Jonas Krebs. So I'm the coordinator of an area that is called strategic projects within the CRG. So the CRG is a Center for Genomic Regulation based in Barcelona. It's a fundamental research center. We have also a few slides about it in a couple of minutes. And yeah, the idea of the session today is to share with you a brand new initiative that we started a couple of weeks ago in our center, which is about to organize and provide an institutional structured training on generative AI to research administration. So this is really going on the fly and sharing knowledge on the fly, because this initiative is still ongoing. Actually, today we had another session as part of the series. So this is really up to date knowledge. And yeah, we call it the session Play, Explore, and Build, because this is a bit the spirit of this training that we organize here, how to bring in a very hands-on way people on board, also those who so far hesitated or had obstacles for various reasons to use AI tools, and how we increase in general AI literacy in the center. So that will be the topic of today. And as Anna mentioned already, that's why we also would like to have you really activated with your cameras and microphone. We really would like to have an open discussion also with you, because part of this session should also be dedicated to hear from you if eventually you have similar initiatives in your centers, how you see this could be implemented in your center, or maybe you have completely different approaches in your centers and would like to share a few thoughts on that. So that's a bit the bigger picture of the session today. And maybe Damiana, you also would like to introduce yourself.
So hello, good afternoon. My name is Damiana. I'm Jonas's colleague working at the CRG. I'm heading the training office, training and academics. So we are designing the different training programs, like for the whole institution and also individually for scientists, for administration, how to upskill the workforce, in this case, using AI and also a lot other training programs. And we will tell more throughout the session today.
Yes. So maybe we start with, I always like to show this comic. Maybe some of you have seen this before. I think this describes very well the situation that probably most of us face, that it's the constant feeling of being chased by AI. So every day, literally, there's another update of one of the tools we use or another feature and capability of these tools. And it's really hard to keep pace with the development. And we always have this feeling of this tsunami that is behind us of the AI, and not only personally keep ourselves up to date, but also to make sure that on a broader sense, like really on an institutional level, we make sure that at least certain developments of capabilities of these tools find its way into practice on an institutional level. So, and this is a bit what we have foreseen for this session today. So very briefly, we will give a few information about CRG. We tried to give this short, but just to give you an idea of what the center is about and where we are in terms of AI. And the core of this presentation is really this program, this Cacharreando program, this AI training program that we designed and are currently implementing in the center, and explain a bit also what was the reason why we implemented or designed this program in the way that we did it, what it is about. We would like to share with you then already first experiences and feedback we got so far. As I said, it's ongoing at the moment. We had already a few sessions of it, and we have already some early observations. And in the end, I really hope we have quite some time left in the end. As I said, we would also like to hear a little bit from your perspective and from your experience how training is done in your center. So very briefly, so this is always a picture of our center that we have to show to make people a little bit jealous. So we have a very nice location at the beach in Barcelona. We are in, I would say, medium-sized research center. So you see some numbers on the left. We have more or less 35 research groups at the moment, 500 staff in total, of which about 420, 30 people are researchers. And we have an administration of around 80, 90 people. And what I would like to highlight is we are a very international research center. So we have about 60% international staff, but in the science, even much more than in the research. So we have probably the number is very fluid, but more or less 40 different nationalities working here in the center. And we are not only international in terms of staff, but also in terms of funding that we attract. So this is also really important for us, the attraction of international funding. And I put here a few schemes that we are quite successful with. So these are all active grants. We are, for example, as you can see, very successful with the ERC. We have at the moment 20 active ERC grants. But also other schemes like Marie Curie actions are very important for our center. And other schemes, I will not spell them out loud all, but the Innovation Council, for example, is also getting more and more attention here. And on the bottom, you see how we are scientifically organized. So we have 4 research programs, one more computational focus, computational biology and health, genomics, then a very fundamental research-focused cell biology program, a genome biology program that has many links to cancer research, and systems and synthetic biology research program. And yeah, we have a specific system similar to the EMBL, if you know it. So we have a system of senior and junior researchers. And junior researchers, for example, have a limitation of 9 years. So there's a rotation system to make sure there's also new knowledge coming into the center. But the senior researchers have permanent positions here in the center. So much about the CRG and us. And we would like to start the session with a few questions to you, just to have a rough idea of about who is in the room. So I hope you're familiar with Mentimeter. So you can either scan the code with your mobile phone, or you can also just open the browser and go to menti.com and enter this code. So I give you a second, but also if I share now to the Mentimeter, you will find the code on the top, so you can still connect. So yeah, and the first question is about your role. So just have a rough idea of what's your profile. If you're more focused in pre-award, post-award, feel free to be as specific as you want. Head of research project management, okay. So that's quite a similar role to mine.
We cannot see Jonas.
Ah, you cannot
Yeah,
see?
it's like a blurred screen.
That was exactly the issue I was afraid that would happen. Because it seems to be a Teams issue. I think the only quick solution is that I will not go to in full screen mode. Unfortunately, this only happens in Teams. I will just try to increase the window. And I'm sorry for that.
Also, some people asking what is the code, if you have like a passcode for, okay, thank
I
you.
put it already.
Yes, so I will try to increase the window here so that you more or less have a full screen mode. I hope you can see it now, the answers.
Yes.
Okay. And you see here the code on top. So you just need to enter menti.com and you can enter the code. Okay, so academic librarian, okay, research developer, education. Okay, acting head of funding operations.
That's very good, because we will have examples now exactly for these roles.
Yes, exactly. I'm sorry for these technical issues here. It's strange. So the second question is a bit more now already about AI. So with which task do you lose the most of your time? And you see here some predefined answers. So is it repetitive tasks like copy pasting information between files, cleaning or formatting, data, chasing for reminders or chasing for approval, sending reminders, turning notes into actions, while you see the different categories here. Preparing for recurring report, managing many files or files versions, budget or cost related aspects.
I think we cannot see the question yet. It says on my screen, presenter. No, please wait for the presenter to change slides. I'm not quite sure. Try to refresh. Oh yeah, I have it. So it's a little bit maybe longer.
Or maybe, I'm sorry, Jonas said there are technical question. Maybe we can just ask there's
Yes,
so few people. Let's just have a
exactly.
discussion.
Exactly. I'm also afraid with his technical issues.
Yeah.
Maybe people can just open their microphones. Exactly.
You can ask a question.
Yeah. If anybody would like to share, or even if it's a keyword, or put it in the chat.
I would say most of them.
Yeah.
In terms of where we lose most time. We don't currently lose most time to turning notes into summaries because we're already using AI for those. But certainly around the copy pasting between emails and files, cleaning, formatting data, chasing approvals, they're definitely up there.
I'd echo that, and I'd say it's about the lack of integration between systems, and sometimes those are legacy systems that don't integrate well with other things. So whilst you might have in theory this wonderful workflow about how you want to do things, your systems don't necessarily make that very easy.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Time management as well, so that is keeping on track of kind of the team's resources, and just keeping on top of people's kind of, not just my own time, but like people's time managing that takes a lot of effort.
Okay, thanks for sharing. And actually, the next question is related to this. So, for which task do you actually use then generative AI already most? So maybe already related to the most repetitive task, but maybe not, because you still didn't find a way to use AI in a way that would help you. So, for which task do you use generative AI at the moment the most? And also feel free to just put answers in the chat.
Rosie switched the camera on.
I'm stationary. I don't want to make everyone seasick before.
The writing tasks, reports, papers.
It's writing tasks for me. I'm a bit of a stealth. I feel like I'm here under almost false pretenses because I'm a researcher developer, and we're really thinking at the moment about training ourselves so that we can support researchers. And I saw I'm just really interested in the training and the course that you've developed, and I want to learn from you.
You're at the right at the right place. Note taking, reviewing contracts, summarizing technical info. Yeah.
Okay, so we can also move on. Yeah, so then very related to the topic of today, a very big question is, has your institute offered structured institutional training on AI? So is there anything in place beyond individual ad hoc courses that individuals can attend?
We don't have a sort of formal training. There's been some prompt engineering workshops from the IT service. Within our department, we are training each other and ourselves through kind of best practice sharing opportunities. So we've got an AI roadmap, but not from an institutional perspective. Especially from the research perspective, a lot of the focus from the university is on teaching, how AI is used by students and kind of how we manage that. Not a lot on the research focus, hence why we are looking at ourselves to see how we can train ourselves.
It's important now is also how we started.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
okay, and Rosa, okay, clear institution guidance for AI. Okay, but not yet recent. Yeah. Okay, so we also do not want to spend too much time of this question. So one related question then is, if you do not have such a structured institution training in place, where do you actually seek knowledge? And we had indicated here in the Mentimeter poll, like, do you search for dedicated training programs or self-paced learning on YouTube or e-training platforms? Or do you rely on networks on peer learning, like here the AIRON network, where you exchange with peers? Just to get a rough idea of the audience here.
Not wanting to be the one that's always talking, but we were lucky enough that some of us got the opportunity to do a multiverse apprenticeship around AI for business analysts. So the majority of the focus on that was around business analysis, but had quite a lot of AI in that, and that opened the door for us to try and do that self-led learning. So at the moment now that's finished, a lot of it is through, like you say, peer networks sharing, and through lots of YouTube videos.
I also have to confess, I take a lot from YouTube, actually, and they're great channels, actually.
And we will also show you some different resources where there is a lot of material that you can get.
Yeah, and maybe we can move to at least one more. Yeah, just one more question is which is always interesting, in one word or in two words, the one big pain point that you have with generative AI. So if you would need to summarize it, so what's the biggest struggle you have?
I think just knowing how much you can trust it. I mean, clearly you can't trust it entirely, but as it gets better and better, you can trust it more, but kind of knowing where that boundary line is and how much checking and verification you need to do, particularly if you're putting a huge amount of stuff through it.
Yeah. Yeah, we can definitely relate to this, and we come to this also when we share actually some service that we run in our institute.
Interesting. Resistance from colleagues who dislike it for various reasons.
Yeah,
we definitely have quite a lot of resistance from some people who just don't want anything to do with it, and sometimes it's like for valid reasons, but sometimes it's just because they tried it once. They did like what output came out of it, because most likely because their prompt was incredibly basic, and then they just don't sort of rate it anymore.
And they're not on board. Yeah.
I think some of the barriers that we come across are around the types of tools that are available. So there are lots of lovely AI tools available, and you look and you think that would be brilliant for our team, and then you look at where the data gets routed, and the IT are just like, no, we can't use any of that. So a lot of our barriers are actually around data protection.
I also think, looking at my institution, other institutions, so there is a lot of different options, but sometimes the access to licenses, it's limited, or you have to pay yourself. Department will not pay, and it just kind of default Copilot, it's very limited as well. So I think this is the major problem as well.
Yeah, I think these different licenses, I think it's just the right point, Jonas, now to go ahead and to
exactly
that
yes.
We had exactly the same issue and about the licenses and about the headache that When
Great,
so I'm going back to switch the slide, but I really like this interaction. So I hope we're going to keep it. But let's talk about licenses. And our institute as well is structured, let's say, two different blocks, scientific and technical core technologies. And there is pure administration department like legal, HR, finances, no, those have legal responsibility. And then our 4 strategic offices who are somehow in between. And then already this structure has different licenses. Let me share because we just got to this point. As you can see, this is the overall organigram of our institute. Scientific part on the left, administration on the right, and offices, strategic offices in the middle. And what happened that scientists, they start pushing to have ChatGPT licenses. And because we are limited with the public tender, and OpenAI doesn't do this, so then we can only offer 1 license per group. But the administration got Copilot because they said the administration is using more internal data, no, that are within our system, SharePoint. And already here we have this heterogeneity or this discrepancy and how to tackle it. So how to offer a training for the whole institution when half of the people don't have the same tools. And we are right in the middle here, training, strategy, funding, that we have both lines, that we can have both. And that's why we also start exploring a little bit more. And when we started offering training, when we get these licenses, of course, there were no training that goes directly with it. But access to AI, of course, doesn't mean people are fluent in AI. And what we were hearing now, what are the blockers? Somebody try, they're not happy, then they don't adopt it. So we have been offering like individual trainings, sometimes with external consultants or internal, and starting training on Power BI and Power Automate and different tools, but it was everything very scattered. And however, we've seen that some departments, they have some, let's say, front runners, no, who are more techy, usually, but not always, younger generations. And then this gap was even widening. But this gives somehow we got to know the need because we sit all the time in this training. We know what people ask, what is the problem. And it was also exactly what you put in the chat. Now, what are the issues and legal and uses and let's say safety use of the tools, not knowing the potential of the tools. What can I do? So there was really a need for a broader institutional training. And what we call cascading, so that people start training and then it spills over the knowledge to everybody down, not just a few who are the most, let's say, the most techy and the most savvy. So then we had on the table like several things to consider before designing institutional-wide training. Like we have very different offices, very different size, very different tasks, finance, legal, strategic offices. Different background, different AI literacy, or let's say how people learn themselves. Also very different data realities, as I said already, the licenses, but also no, our infrastructure is not ready yet for AI. And also admin stuff is very busy. So how much training we're going to do, organize that really people can attend and not dropping out because they have other commitments that they seem to have to be more important at the beginning. So we started designing the program on the paper. So there was no AI involved in at these finds. So we go for a lunch somewhere, we took big sheets and start design thinking, what are really the needs, what is the reality. We had a project related travel, we went to Tunis, and immediately when we stopped the dinner, we put the papers on the table and start drawing and map minds. So it was really nice process to start from scratch internally. So this is internally. So this is really, you see on the paper. So, and then we came up, and then a colleague of mine, Elena, who is sitting here at the table as well, was sitting at the table. She's from Cuba. And she said, when we have something that we don't know, or we get before our radio, whatever, we just dismantle it and play with it and fiddle and try to figure out how it works. And I said, wow, this is a really cool concept. Just give people space and to repair, like this car, to play, to dismantle it, to see how it works. So we said, let's do it, the program, as a safe space to experiment, explore the full potential of AI tools, know what is the potential, and then really use it and implement it in every day. And then to do this for the whole institute, this really to be practical, hands-on. When people go to their desk, they need to start using it. It's actually building a muscle. We designed this poster with AI to homage a little bit to Cuba, to Cuban colleague who gave this idea. And at that time, when this was like the shape was taking place, then was really crucial that different departments, especially IT, is also on board. So, and then there are people from different departments which design and really facilitate this program together. So how, as I already mentioned, Cacharreando, Spanish word, I didn't know what it means. I'm not Spanish, so, but then now I started liking it because everybody knows here like what it means. It's really to play, to explore, and to build. So this is the lemma of our program. How is designed? And before we go into more, we are still building it, and we are building the airplanes while flying. Well, we started, so things can change. But for now, this we think what is at least today how it looks like. We had we launched a survey to all administration. Everybody filled it in, and then we have a kickoff meeting open to everybody. So it's really important to have all the institution on board. First, we thought, maybe just 10 people or 20 can attend, but no, it was important to give it this institutional importance. Everybody was on board, everybody was invited to kick-off meeting. I'm going to tell what we tell them. And then we selected 1 or 2 or 3 people per each department to follow very specific hands-on hackathons. Not everybody, but those the more tech-savvy people. There they have specific cases prepared. I'm going to tell how these were prepared. And as you see, April the 30th was today, and today we have hackathon number 2. We have also a picture there. And then the last session, again, is going to be make institutional. Everybody is invited where they're going to see the cases, what have been done. On the top, as a ground work, we made in a Moodle an online course resources collection based on Microsoft Learn called AI Digital Springboard, when everybody can access, everybody in the administration. So, yep. When we launched this survey, we started asking, and beginning we thought, let's just ask like few people who are going to come to the hackathons. And then we said, no, let's evaluate where we stand as an institution. And then we will use this to evaluate how the program is efficient. And we can send the same type of survey after people have attended the hackathons and done the program. So then we launch it among the whole administration, so more than 70 people applied, and 70% say, yeah, where do I sign up? I want to sign up. But then actually we were selecting people who will attend. And like MPS, that means how people feel confident using generative AI. And also here we ask them for the prompting. Most don't feel confident using generative AI, or they don't know where to start. They don't know what's the full potential. They feel overwhelmed, is sometimes just too much, and they don't know which tool is fit the best for each. The biggest blocker, I was listening to you, it was very simple, very similar what you said. No, like what output? I don't know who said, like, what is the really trust? What is the potential? Also policy, what is allowed? We have some sensitive data, patient data. How can I use it? And a lot of people, for example, never use Power Automate, even it was available. They didn't even know that this exists. This was the survey, and this survey was shown to everybody in an institutional kickoff meeting for the whole admin. So we didn't just show the survey, we also realized what we got from the survey, that people don't know exactly policy, AI, what is permitted, what is available, which are the tools available at the CRG. So it was a nice event, 2 hours long, also to refresh their, let's say, their minds. And then we decided to do 2 tracks. As I mentioned, one, it's open to all and it's online, and we got the resources. So a colleague, Elena, designed all this online course. She pulled some different resources, mostly for Microsoft Learn. Everybody can access it, and it has structure. So if somebody would want, from you who are listening, this is a Moodle course that is done, that can be exported. We can also share. That's not a problem, because they're all open resources. But people will not necessarily go online just by themselves. We see the activity, but it's very low. But what people are really engaged is the hackathons. This was today, from this morning. They know they're going to be on the webinar, so they're smiling because a photo was taken today. And this is really, they bring with their computers. We put them among different departments together. And Jonas will tell what is the structure of the hackathon, but they really work together. And this is going on for 5 weeks. It's really to see the potential of the tool, to do practical cases, then go home, not home, then go into their office and also teach their colleagues. We prepare the material in a way that it's very easy transmittable to the rest of the office. And now I'm giving word to Jonas.
Yes,
I don't
thank
know,
you.
Jonas, if you want to share the screen, or I share it and you just.
Maybe you continue sharing. Yeah, I just wanted to
Okay.
pick up one question that I just read. So the survey that we launched was actually quite broad, and it was even not only focusing on strictly on generative AI or AI tools. There were also questions more general about tools that people use, because we also wanted to use this as an opportunity to get a broader picture of which tools, for example, of the Microsoft, in our case, Microsoft 365 system, are at all used. And this included specifically also AI tools like Copilot and Power Automate, but not only. So it was really covering many different aspects, which gave us really important insights also how people feel about digital literacy or skills, but also AI related skills. So yeah, and so we had a quite intense discussion on how we organize these hackathons. And for example, one very big discussion we had was, should people work on own cases? Like, should there be own projects that people would bring into these hackathons, or not? Or would we rather let them work on fictitious cases or examples that we bring in? This was one discussion, and we decided actually that they would not work on own cases because we thought this would be too complex in the framework of this program. Maybe we come to this later when we talk about potential next steps. So this might be more feasible in a second edition where people work on own cases. And then we just agreed which themes or topics could be of most interest. And you can see here on the top these 5 hackathon topics that we defined. So the first one, Power Automate, because we see a lot of potential in this application, but we saw in the survey that most people even didn't know that this tool existed. So that's why it was even the first topic of the first hackathon. Today, the topic, as Damiana showed this morning with the session, was solely focused on Copilot Chat with all the features that they are. Also, I'm not so sure how much you work with it, but basically showing also notebook features and pages and so on. So everything that is around Copilot, because also here it turns out many people are not really familiar with the whole portfolio of capabilities that there is. And just to briefly go through it. So the next sessions will be more focused on the integration of Copilot in the different apps. So there we will, for example, talk about the integration of Copilot into Excel, Word, Teams, etc. The fourth hackathon will be focused on agents. So how to create agents, how to use Copilot Studio, for example, for more advanced features. And for the 5th hackathon, our idea for now is to really try to bring these things together. So people will, to some extent, also present what they have achieved until that last moment. And we also try to even combine several aspects of it. How to, for example, what's written here, how you can combine Power Automate with an agent workflow, for example. So this shows already a bit more complexity, more complex topics for the last session. So these are the areas we tackle in the hackathons. Then regarding the structure, we have implemented now the structure that you see below, the format. So for us, it's very important that we always begin with what people actually have learned from the last time. So they always get a kind of homework. So for example, today we talked one more time about Power Automate from last time, like how eventually they found already ways to implement it in their own work. And we have a short discussion about this. Then there's an inspirational talk in each of the session on the topic of the day. So for example, today I gave an inspirational talk about possibilities of Copilot Chat. And then starts the actual hackathon work. So then they get predefined exercises. And as Damiana said, so part of this comes from us instructors, but we also take advantage of Microsoft Learns, where there are very nice use cases actually for different admin offices. So this is also part of the hands-on work. And then there's the final reflection on what they've learned today in this meeting, and we discuss a bit what they could do until the next meeting to close then again the loop to the first part of the discussion. So far it worked quite well, and we are very curious how this will continue over the time. And I started already the discussion on this. So just to explain why we did it the way we did, I said already why, for example, we did not use cases that come from the offices themselves. As I said, we think this would add too much complexity, especially for this first round. But let's see how we do it. So it was quite a challenge to this discussion on for how many people we would open up the session. But for practical reasons, also for room, for space that we have available, but also for to make it a meaningful interaction with the participants, we restricted now the cohorts to 18 people. And for example, not to everybody was interested, but the idea is also to have future editions with probably not more people, but to the rest of the participants that would so far only join this general training material or access the general training material. And this hands-on part obviously is very important in this format. So we really wanted to make sure that we are not only giving inspirational talks, but there's really a crucial part of it, and with sufficient time, this hackathon aspect on it, where people work in groups, really with their laptop in front of them and part of the exercise they do alone, but it's really also about talking in a group about the challenge and discussing what would be the best approach to tackle this challenge. Yeah, what we've learned so far, I don't know, Damiana, if you maybe would like to take over from here again from our initial
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, maybe. So as Jonas said, we had a second session today. We are following also to see what's the temperature of the room, they say. So there is really a demand. People are really engaged. So this then later will be deployed also to the whole administration, but this is something really that we cannot ignore. This will definitely go. And there was so much interest. There was from no other training, there was so much interest. And it's cross-department mixing is really important, because we often, as everybody, work in a silos, and we want to break this. So working on the same case, but people from completely different departments, then maybe in the future, or they will need to design workflows, transversal workflows. It's very important, because they discuss what they do, their ideas, and maybe sometimes you're so in the box, you don't see how you can use something or Power Automate, and then you explain to somebody and say, but you can use this, I don't know, for legal stuff, you can automate when your contracts will expire and they remind you. And cross department is I think it's really crucial here, that we don't get encrusted into silos. And also this showcase, that when people tell, well, I've done this, I've developed for this, and it empowers them. It empowers them, but also give ideas to the other. And also what was working is to have this open kickoff meeting, and then we will also closing event. This gives it really an institutional note. And so now people talk about it. You're there, and how is it going? So it really creates a buzz. So this was really important. So what is hard? Some people, it's really difficult. Also starting point. Some are very techy. The other one have been at the Institute for 20 years, and they were not doing. So we have a very different levels. So then we do a lot of think, pair, share. Maybe you know this technique, when people think for themselves, then share it with pair it with the neighbor and share it. So we do a lot of this about discussing, and also changing the mindset, like to unlearn what we know, and start thinking out of the box, how we do things differently. And it's not easy and for everybody obvious, but we hope that with time, like this kind of idea and out of the box will be generated more. Now it's really, I need to know what a tool can give me, what I can do, and then they will start, I think, flowering and being creative. And really, we want people, like, from practice to real workflows, that they really change the way they work, their behavior change, and also how we measure the impact. This will be difficult. We will try with the survey, how workflows are constructed among departments. But really, how do you measure it? If somebody has an idea, we'll love to hear. And maybe, so what are the next steps? As I said, we are in the first 25% of the program. Next step at the end will be final survey, when we will evaluate now behavior, what they implemented, what was what changed for them before and after, and we will compare with the initial survey. Then we will present the cases, so really practicalities in a final event. Again, that will be open to everyone, so we'll make like institutional celebration. This can be done also for others to get the idea. And then they will deploy it to the rest of the administration. And we already see, and the material, as I said, is designed in a way that when you go back from the hackathon to your place, you can already use the material and the cases and train your colleagues. And there are some heads of administration department, that are wonderful. They say, after a week, we will have a session where people at the hackathon will explain to everybody and we will repeat it. So with this way, because you learn the most when you teach others. So this way, the people who are the hackathon are empowered and they learn even more by teaching others. So maybe Jonas, this is the last slide.
Yes, so basically, and this is already like opening basically the discussion to you, like as we mentioned at the very beginning. So this is the program that we designed now. We are very curious how it will go, but we are also interested in, if you were thinking of or implementing already programs in your institutes, maybe in a completely different approach. So we said we don't have for example, the cases that are brought into the course from the participants themselves. Or this aspect of restricting it to a small cohort or having really open courses to the whole institute or bigger departments. How you eventually deal with the cases. Well, I mentioned it already. And also what's for you the hardest point in all of this. And maybe just linking this already, because I saw you were also asking some question, maybe I can already pick up at least some of them. So this aspect of why focusing on Microsoft, this is exactly this challenge that we have in the Institute with this division of access to licenses. And for us, it was very important that whatever we show in the course, we can be sure that everyone has access to the tool. So I have to confess, I'm also in the meantime in many different areas convinced that Claude, for example, is the much more powerful tool, but it makes no sense to present something about Claude to administration where we know that most of them don't have access to it. So we wanted to make sure whatever we show in the course can be repeated and can be reproduced by the people who are in the course. And as we showed at the beginning, the administration has by default, or the majority of them, only access to Microsoft. So that's why the focus is so much on, or restricted basically to Microsoft. Although we have possibilities also on individual office level, for example, to get an Anthropic or Claude license, and we are also exploring. Then another aspect or question that I saw is this. Sorry, where was the question? Yeah, it's nice to see that you also agree on the cases. Just saw one other question in the chat, but probably we commented on it already. Why we chose this. Yeah, and maybe we can take this as an opportunity. Also, time is actually close run out. So maybe you would like to share some thoughts about your work, or what you would like to add or ask us or share. Yeah. So please feel free to open your microphone.
I thought it was really interesting around the MS Learn. I've not actually heard of that before, so I've just been, while you've been chatting, digging into that in the background and seeing what was available there. When we've done our peer-to-peer learning within our directorate, we do have disparate types of activity in it, but it's not as wide as legal talking to HR. We've been using fabricated exercises just like you have, but we've been asking Copilot to generate them for us. So we've been saying to Copilot, we want to do an exercise on something today. And sometimes we make them work related, but still theoretical. But a lot of the time we make them really silly, because we find that those kind of memories stick better. So at Christmas, we did one around Santa's route planning around the UK and got Copilot to generate maps to see, oh, actually, Copilot's not the best at generating images, and maybe you can't always trust that. So it was quite a powerful way of doing that. But I'd be really interested to kind of hear about the types of examples that are on MS Learn and kind of how you found those.
Yeah, so the nice thing is it's really worth exploring. So I have to be honest, I also didn't know much about Microsoft Learn. So they are really for different admin departments cases. So you find really examples for HR offices or for finance departments. And it's very diverse. So you also find examples for the different tools. Like today, for example, you find the examples or assignments we found or we picked were focused on Copilot chat. And then it's, for example, if you're provided with a report for HR, for example, or
Data,
data exactly, and you're
Excel
asked
files, yeah.
exactly,
Oh,
and you're
nice.
asked to create a prompt that ideally is able to extract the information from the file. So it's quite a variety about the complexity of the assignments that you find there. So very simple examples, which is nice, but also cases where you need to combine or extract information from different type of files, as Damiana said. So there are also examples of budget information that you need to align with a long report, an artificial report that's written, and so it's really worth exploring.
Mm.
But
And this was really our decision because at the beginning, no, it changed a lot. This, but you say, people should bring their own data, but then data are not clean, they're not ready. So then you don't know how to evaluate. Is it and this was one of the biggest challenges. Now people say, well, how can I do the checkpoints? What is really correct, what I get out? And if the data are messy, then how you can know what you get out is in a reliable. So that's why we want to give them this data that are pre-made. They don't have any biases, whatever, so that they can learn on the clean data before then going to their own. And in Microsoft Learn, you have everything. You have a case, their role, what to do, what to download.
yeah. And also specific for the applications, which is really useful. So you have very specific examples for integration of Copilot into PowerPoint or into Microsoft Forms, and you get a very concrete example how in HR or in communications you can use this case.
There is one interesting question. How much and what level of expertise do you have in the room for the hackathons to answer questions people have?
That was actually the question I was searching for because I read it before. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's exactly the challenge, like because it's impossible, and we didn't. There could be an approach where you try to pre-filter people based on their expertise, and you try to more or less bring people with more or less the same expertise in the room. But it's very difficult because you can, for example, be an expert on Power Automate, but you have never used I don't know, Copilot chat. I'm inventing now, so it's even if you. Yeah, there's nothing like a general generative AI literacy measurement, so that makes it tricky. And we have, in general, I would say, a very low level of expertise. So there are some people that have specific knowledge on specific tools, like some, for example, are very experienced already with Power Automate. But in general, the level is
I
average.
guess you also
low.
have there's a mixed, like there's a different kind of knowledge that you need in the room, which is what the processes actually need to do.
Yeah,
And the people who
exactly.
are the experts in AI tools might not have a clue. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I have one question also from myself, because you kind of lead the program, you pre-designed, but once you do it, the reality it's a little bit different. Were there any surprising moment where basically people attending surprising with question reactions and you didn't think of at the beginning when you designed the program?
So maybe one positive experience is that sometimes one is surprised about the questions that are asked, because you think people don't really, they have a low level of expertise. Probably the question you would get would not challenge you. But yeah, it's nice to see how engaged people are in the discussions, and also asking really straight to the point questions about the limitations of tools, like really spotting which could be a potential weakness in a tool in terms of connecting to within the Microsoft system, for example, or the amount of data that can be processed. So this is really nice to see that people are really into the discussion and really engaging in the discussion.
Yeah. We're technical after all.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 1 minute past. Thank you so much for wonderful presentation and spending this time with us together, and for everyone who participated and hesitated. Wonderful weather, especially here in UK. I really appreciate. We'll have next event coming up soon. Please look for the announcement as well on LinkedIn. And thank you again, Jonas. Thank you, Damiana. Wonderful presentation. And I hope you can revisit and present in maybe 6 months' time to see.
Oh, maybe when we finish in June, now when we
Yes.
do the final say, maybe we can show what's really the evaluation. Maybe things will change. There will be some
Completely.
surprises, but in June we will have a closing event and analyze data. So maybe there will be some.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thanks
so
a lot
much
for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you,
Anna. Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.